Hello, my beautiful thinking people, you. It's Clyde, your host, back again, just to let you know that I'm confused. I'm extremely confused. Tell me if you agree or you don't agree. I love when you folks actually, leave comments in the comment section. I answer everybody. And if I didn't answer you, it's because for some reason the algorithm took away your comment before I got a chance to see it or answer it. So this is why I'm confused. Everybody's talking about these 20 million cars that Tesla's supposedly about to make. How in heaven's name are they going to be able to produce 20 million cars with the small bit of factories that they have right now? Like, you have other big OEMs, big car companies, that have 100 or more factories across the world producing the cars that they produce today. How is Tesla going to produce 20 million cars? That is confusing, right? I'm not wrong to be confused with that. Like, where would they put them? How fast can they build these factories? And they haven't broken ground on any new ones yet. So obviously, it can't happen. Give me your suggestions in the comment section. I'd like to know, what do you think is the path to 20 million cars? How are they going to do this? Let's explore. They open up the Fremont factory, which was a total cluster. You know what? GM and Toyota could not make a go of that place. So Fremont factory becomes a testing ground for Elon's ingenuity and ability to take nothing and turn it into really something great. People laughed at him. He put up tents. They're more permanent structure than just tents, but I mean, they were pretty sturdy tents, if you ask me. And they started producing. That was great. That's ingenuity. There's no place for them to put up tents now to make 20 million cars. So how else did they do that? They struck a deal with China, the first of its kind. A factory fully owned by an American concern. And what did they do? They crushed it. They're producing like close to 1 million cars a year out of the Shanghai factory. That's impressive. So by that standard, you'd think they're going to need about, 18 more factories in order to produce this? They haven't broken ground on any others. But then they opened up Berlin factory, or if you want to call it the Grünheiden Gigafactory. But they were only able to produce like 480,000 cars out of there or so, something like that. And they're constantly having problems. Environmental groups who can't stand an environmentally friendly car being produced more efficiently than any other electric cars are being produced, or ICE cars are being produced. But they had a problem with the Tesla Grünheiden Gigafactory. They went so far, and they admitted it, they caused fires on the premises and then tried to blame Tesla for being an unsafe environment. But okay, so they opened up that factory. Let's say all three are producing a million cars a year. That's still only 3 million. Oh, but then, that's right, they opened up the Texas Gigafactory. But still, they weren't able to ramp that up. They were only doing 400 some odd thousand cars out of there too. Only one of these factories is even capable of taking on like 1 million cars so far, okay? So they don't have the factory space now, do they? And every time they go to open a factory, they have talks with Spain. They have to cancel that because Spain opens their big mouth and lets the cat out of the bag way too early and stops them from being able to make the progress they want. They have talks with Brazil, and they stopped that in its tracks. They had talks with Indonesia. Indonesia didn't want them just to buy materials, mining materials from them. They wanted the whole enchilada. That backed up. Where are they going to build these other 16 gigafactories? So let me see if I can glean the answer out of one of Elon's talks. And at each time, Tesla gives us a good rundown on where they're at and where they think they're going. So come back with me to a time when Tesla was talking about the new unboxed process. What's unboxed process? Nobody really knew what it was. I mean, everybody speculated. And then he told us. He said, well, with the new process of building cars, we are going to be able to do double the production in half the space at approximately 50% the cost. Did you hear that? That meant in the same footprint they have right now, they should be able to do 8 million cars. Open up 2 more factories. That would be 12 million cars, wouldn't it? But because these factories are going to be optimized for the new, smaller, more compact, more affordable vehicle, which is going to have probably less components and a much easier assembly, let's say each of those can do 3 or 4 million, which I believe is what he was calling for. We're up to 16 million cars a year. That's not running at full capacity. That'll be running at about 80% capacity. So, because Elon is a stickler for efficiency and tweaking every little thing he can, let's say out of just those factories, he should be able to produce 20 million cars. But I'll tell you, all the big talking heads on YouTube and everywhere have not been able to figure that out. They keep scratching their head wondering, this is impossible. It can't be done. The mathematics just don't add up. But they weren't listening to Elon when he said half the factory space or less, double the capacity at half the cost. Do you realize the profit margins that are going to come in this next couple of years? Everybody was, the margins, the margins, the margins. You know what I say to those people? Stick it in your ear. They're still producing better margins than all the other OEMs and everybody out there. But yet, you guys are going to whine about the margins. Well, don't worry. He's going to deliver massive margins. So, what did he say? Accumulatively, he's going to be doing like a 50% increase in volume each year over the next few years when averaged out. Now, he wasn't talking about 50% of this year's capacity next year on top of that. So 1 million, then next year it's going to be 1,500,000. But if you take where they were and add 50% of that every year, that's what the mark is supposed to be. But again, I don't hear anybody talking about that. All they do is say, well, 50% a year, that's going to be really tough. The higher the numbers go, the harder it's going to be. From what he said, it's still going to be hard. But that's very doable. If you're making 50 this year, and next year you're making 75, that's the tough part. The year after that, you're making only 100. The year after that, it's 125. Then 150. Because you're adding 50% of that original year after year after year. And if one year you only add 22,000 and the next year you add 28,000, you're going to average that 50% increase year over year. He cannot fail. He's already way surpassed that. I believe he's at 37.5% year over year growth. Folks, please listen. When Elon speaks, it means something. It really does. And you know what? When he gives his opinion as a personal human being, you've never heard him get up there and say, Tesla thinks, SpaceX thinks, Starlink thinks, the Boring Company thinks. No, he says Elon, the person, has an opinion. and he feels he has the right to express it. And you know what? He's right. There's a freedom of speech. He has the right to express. If you don't like it, don't go shake his hand. Don't give him a hug. Don't kiss him. Oh my Lord, every time he walks by, spit on the sidewalk on the other side of the street. Who cares? Furthermore, what makes you think you even matter? At the worst of times, when everybody was trashing Elon Musk about buying Twitter, do you realize that when the people were asked, 43% of them said, yeah, we're not too keen on Tesla. Yeah, that Elon Musk guy, blah, blah, blah. But that left 57% who said, hell yeah, I'd love to get a Tesla. If I can afford it, I'll get a Tesla. I want a Tesla. I'm going to buy a Tesla. 57% of the people polled were totally unfazed. But the 43%, it wasn't even that they were totally fazed. Some of them just probably didn't want an electric car, period. Some of them didn't want anything to do with Tesla. Some of them may have been looking at a Rivian or a Jaguar or something of that nature. Right? And some of them, maybe they're just, oh, he has an opinion I don't like, so I'll never buy anything from him. Well, that's your prerogative. But again, I say, what makes you think you matter? I don't matter. I support him. I don't support everything he says. I don't support everything he thinks. I support the overall mission and the accomplishments. There are a number of things I identify with, and there are a number of things I don't. And if you're any different, well, that's up to you. I don't know anybody that's perfect. And I can tell you this, there's a lot of people I admire in this world who have said or done things that I would find abhorrent. It doesn't stop me from admiring the things that they did do right, the things they did accomplish, and the way they have presented. I'd like you to give me an example of somebody that you idolized in your life who never said or did anything that you disagreed with or didn't like or were upset about. I'd like one of you to tell me about your favorite teacher growing up in school who never did or said anything that pissed you off, angered you, or made you totally disagree and go the other way. I dare you to find me a parent who has never done anything to piss you off or disagree with or change their views on you in midstream when you thought things were A and they've turned around and said, yeah, no, we switched to B. Folks, get realistic. You know what it means about you as an individual or person. I disagree with almost everybody I know on one topic or another because a lot of us have an opinion on something that we've never even researched. It's just an opinion. There's nothing wrong with me disagreeing with you or not believing you or not wanting to follow what you think. And if we discuss it like human being adults, we can come to a place where we both understand each other and respect each other's opinion because we know where each other's coming from. But when you have somebody in your midst who's done all the research and they're coming from a different place, hopefully you're adult enough, you're human enough to be able to go, I need to check out his views or her views because they seem to be coming from a place of knowledge. Mine is just an opinion and all I saw were headlines. Please, folks, don't just read the headlines and run. This is what a lot of people used to do with the Wall Street Journal or other newspapers. They would skim because they didn't have time. They'd skim the headlines and they'd get a capsulization of what those writers wanted them to feel. But later on in the articles, they actually got down to brass tacks, and sometimes it was completely opposite to the headline. The headline is to get you to click. Read past the headlines. So, I think I've given you a good, viable answer for how he's going to be able to accomplish 20 million cars a year. If you disagree, please disagree in the comments. By the way, hit the like button. Subscribe. Become a member. Do you know what? It's free to create your profile on YouTube, which then gives you the ability to like and subscribe for free for free. And then you won't miss anything going forward. And I have to add this to my videos now from now on. Some of you have expressed concern that you click on a video that you see is coming from Advocation X, and it contains a subject that you are just totally against. You don't want anything to do. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to see it. You don't want nothing to do with it. Have no fear. I've taken care of you. All you have to do is go into Advocation X, go to playlists, and click on the playlist that interests you, and you'll be able to get the latest videos in that series and more. Sometimes I'll link other people's videos into my playlist, so that way you get to see other things that go along with that topic and may give you a different perspective. A lot of people have been expressing concern about that. It's like, well, I'd watch more of your channel, except you started talking about or you started talking about or you started talking about that I totally get you. I understand. But the channel is tailored to address all the world issues as they become relevant. So folks, remember, we never give up and we never give in, but we always keep an open mind, because knowledge is our power, and it's the only power we're ever going to have, and we're not giving up our power. So keep an open mind, seek knowledge, do your own research, and if you can't, respect the efforts of others who do the research for you. So stay safe, stay healthy, and above all, stay as happy as humanly possible. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.